welcome to this session on the ideas economy and the challenges that presents for the HR sector. I'm absolutely delighted that joining me today are two people who are brimming full of ideas themselves. Sandra Campopiano, who's the Chief People Officer of FTSE 250 company Premier Farnell, and Carsten Sorensen, Senior Lecturer in IT and Innovation at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Welcome to you both.
Hi.
I'd like to start, there was a very interesting report recently from Google and the Future Foundation on this transition towards an ideas-based economy and the need to create cultures of innovation within the organisation. Carsten, perhaps I can come to you first. What challenges does this present for people, for HR, and the sort of bringing together of IT and HR?
I think the first and most important challenge is that we completely have to rethink the role of people in organizations. All organizations expect their members to offer something extra. It's not enough just to do what you're told. You should do more, because that's the only way we can deliver.
I'm sure you'll say, Sandra, that trying to find those skills in somebody and then trying to bring them out and reward them is not the easiest of jobs.
I think it is. We are a high service distributor, and it's a given that the technology in our business works to deliver that high service, but it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing unless people add that something, that discretionary effort. So absolutely the engagement of people, the excitement of people really means that hopefully our customers will come back more and more because of that experience.
But these people are not necessarily going to be based in a head office like Carsten referred to. I mean, how do you engage and motivate people when they might be in remote locations across the world? You know, they might have different reasons for doing that work. What have you come across there, Carsten?
Well, there's a very good book out from several years ago called Willing Slaves, and it explains how modern working life in Britain in particular, but generally around the world, is really a big project of trying to make people's identity align with their work. And the advantage of that is that people won't be able to stop giving discretionary effort. The negative side is that they will also, at occasions, turn doolally, because all they do all day is to check their BlackBerry and to try and see what they can help the company with. And I think this is one of the really big challenges, is to facilitate people to really engage in their job at the same time as you want to have barriers so they remain sane, balanced human beings. And I think that is a massive challenge, an HR challenge for most companies.
But do people want to be loyal to their employer today? I mean, do they want to give that discretionary?
I think yes.
You do?
I think that it's for organisations to create an environment where people have a sense of purpose. And I think it's technology, collaboration, and good old-fashioned communication between managers and people that enable that. And I don't think it matters if you're sitting in India or if you're sitting in London. Just create a purpose for people, I think.
See, I would think that quite a lot of employees today, it's been tough out there. They feel they're being overworked. Their productivity is all that people care about. And so to give that little discretionary effort and to give that particularly good idea, what can you do in a culture of an organisation to try and encourage them to do that?
We've done a couple of things in our organisation. For example, people who really are able to contribute. We've pulled together people from across the organisations to be part of our strategy. We're looking at the world in 2050 and we're bringing together groups of people to help us design the business for the future, because our business model will change.
So these are cross-function groups,
these are
cross-functional. We would normally talk like IT and HR.
Absolutely. We've introduced technology like ClearSpace, for example, where people can go in and share their views. On intranet, we've created our own community for people to talk to one another, no matter what the time zone. So I think it's an exciting new world in which we live.
We've talked in the past, Carsten, about a sort of a hybrid IT-HR function potentially in the future, maybe a human systems director. Yes. I mean, is that a bit pie in the sky, or do you really think we might move towards that?
Well, if we look at the two big forces that will influence most organizations, then one of them is that people become less and less important in organizations and systems become much more important, because the services and the personalization of the services that the customers require it's simply not possible to deliver those with call centers of lots of people who just run through scripts when you call. It has to be automated. At the same time, you could say that cloud computing and all these new computing developments means that there's less and less need for this bread and butter IT function, because it's done by Google or Amazon or somebody else, or it is done by the customers themselves through self-service, or the employees themselves through self-service. So what you can say is, once you whittled all of that away, what is left is sort of core functions that has to do with how do we develop innovations, how do we do new things, and innovations will inevitably have to do with how do we understand customers, how do we understand our own capabilities, but also how do you understand the technological opportunities.
People less important, Sandra? Surely not. Surely innovation and ideas are people.
Yes, I think so, and I don't think technology will ever remove the personality. It is about an information age. It is using the information from IT systems to help inform our decisions, but I don't see a world with...
what I would qualify my statement is that the number of people are less important. But so if you take an old story from Germany where somebody was visiting Süddeutscher Rundfunk, he stood on the rooftop of the main building and he asked the person who showed him, so what's that little building in the corner? Well, that's RTL Plus. So a building less size than the ZDF's car park was a major competitor. So the problem is, I don't need a handcrafted price plan when I buy a ticket on EasyJet. And indeed, I don't even get it on British Airways anymore. And I think the problem is, what happens is that a lot of the menial work that is now lots of people spend time on would be done in different ways. It will be technologized. But of course, when it comes to innovating what the company should do, obviously that will have to rely on human beings, but it will just be fewer of them.
Yeah. How do you create that sort of culture of rewarding and getting people to think innovatively? Is there anything you've done?
Yeah. 3 years ago, Premier Farnell was known as a catalogue business. Once a year, we produced a very big, thick catalogue, and our customers used to buy from that. Today, we're a web business predominantly. People buy on the web, and we had to help people understand that technology was important. And we created a concept called Elife. We didn't just call it technology at work, but Elife was to symbolise the technology that we use every day, whether it's web, BlackBerry, new PCs, and this was to help our culture change. Clearly, we have to provide other tools and equipment. We've just introduced a global recognition scheme now. That rewards certain values. Innovation is one of our values. Innovation is about adding value to our shareholders. So we have an innovation exchange. We use technology. All our people, 4,300 employees, can actually log on to the Innovation Exchange. They can share their ideas, and that's reviewed by our board, such that ideas that people have every day, whether it's the next big bang or whether it's continuous improvement, we can actually recognise.
I think the problem in all of this, or the challenge in all of this, is, of course, as the Google and Future Foundation study also showed, that people are quite happy to contribute, but they also expect to be rewarded.
Yes,
and one of the big challenges there is, of course, that companies are changing shape from traditionally large buildings with lots of people in to much more flexible arrangements and networks, and that means that also the individualization of work will become more predominant, that you will do things on your own, and the problem there is that challenges really the notion of HR management in organizations, because if you have 3,000 subcontractors, what does that mean for how you manage that workforce? It's a market. It's not an organization. So I think there's lots of unresolved issues on intellectual property, on remote working, and how you engage people who are not part of the organization contractually.
And it would be time to tear up the traditional reward book, really,
I think so.
And look at different ways of rewarding people. I'm interested in that idea of rewarding for innovation specifically, because I think that that's something that people are struggling with.
Yes, and I think that we also recruit for innovation. So one of our competencies is about innovation management, and that's not looking for the next creative or innovative person, but it's about people who have the skill to manage the innovation process, which I think is important.
If there's one particular challenge that you think then for the next decade that's facing HR and people, what would that be?
Well, it's clear to me that if you compare the 20th and the 21st century, then the 20th century was about managing molecules running through factories from the raw material to products. The problem in the 21st century is to manage supply chains of innovation and knowledge and services, and those are mostly about people. So the white-collar workers, they are now the barrier to productivity increase, and that's why there's such a massive interest in all sorts of techniques that can help assess information work, because we don't know how to do this properly. But one of the ways we can do it properly is by individualizing work that still is independent upon others, because then you can say, well, this is your contract, this is what you do. So the next 20 years will see, in my view, massive processes of trying to make individuals accountable in different ways than they were before.
And Sandra, do you concur with that, or see another
I
challenge?
do. I do, and I see it. My lens is one of engagement. You know, how do you find that unique proposition for people in the future that they remain connected and engaged?
Great. Well, engagement, rewards, individualisation, lots of big challenges ahead for HR. I'd just like to thank you both very much for a very stimulating discussion. And thank you for watching. Please feel free to send in your ideas and to get involved in this debate. I really look forward to hearing your perspectives. Thank you.